Hi. This is a good angle. Um, I'm unsurprisingly still sick, and my house is super cold, so that's why I'm wearing this coat. I know it's a little ridiculous, but like, yeah. Um, I just gotta finish this cough drop, and then we'll get started, because I don't want to cough a lot during the videos, and I have a pretty bad cough. I don't really have anything to say. So, that's good. My hands are cold. I don't have any gloves. Hopefully it gets warmer as I'm up here. Oh, I guess I can do it with the cough drop. So the first one is a mailman. It's a mailman outside a house that, like, I guess he's about to deliver mail to, and he's being attacked by a bunch of dogs. And inside the house that he's about to deliver to is a dog playing the violin and like looking outside the window at the dogs attacking the mailman. So I guess it's supposed to be like the dog inside is civilized and receives postage. But like, I don't know. I don't know if, like, it's not like the dog's gonna help the mailman. I think it's just an observer. The next one is a caveman, and he's in a classroom, but like a modern classroom next to a teacher wearing modern clothes. And he's writing on the chalkboard in like a, how they used to make kids do that in like the dark ages. And he's writing, "I will not act primitive in class," over and over again, because he's a caveman. But I mean, I don't know if he can help it. The next one's two cavemen, and it's two panels. And in the first panel, they're coming up to this big animal eating grass, but its head is obscured by the grass. And in the second panel, it looks up at them, and it has like giant spiky antlers and like a big nose horn and like giant tusks. So its head is much more threatening than the rest of its body. And in the second panel, they've turned and walked away after seeing the head. And the caption says, "Primitive man's ability to reason." This one's a man coming out of the grocery store, and while he was in the grocery store shopping, he tied up his pet crocodile outside with all the dogs, and it ate two of them. We can see because their leashes are like going into its mouth. And he's saying, "What? Again?" So I guess this happens a lot. He should probably stop bringing his crocodile to the store. The next one is a bunch of cowboys. And they've got like a big ball of string, and there's a man inside it. Like they basically just like wrapped in a preposterous amount of string around this guy. And there's another cowboy, I guess he's in charge, approaching on a horse, and he's saying, "Hang him, you idiots, hang him. String him up as a figure of speech." So these three cowboys, after being ordered to hang this guy, well, they told them to string him up, which is, you know, the comic states that it's a figure of speech. Like, they weren't literally supposed to string him up, but they have. So they're gonna have to redo that. The next one is an ant hill next to a telephone booth. And the ants are like gradually coming out of the ant hill to fill up the telephone booth, and it says Ant Games. And the one after that is, you know how multiple times I've had to explain, like, how people will, like, notch their guns when they kill someone, or, like, pilots will paint another plane on the side of their plane when they shoot one down. This one is, it's a child building a sandcastle on a beach in the background, and in the foreground there's a man in like a what do you call it? One of those like roller trucks, like a kind of like a steamroller, but not steam powered. It's like a roller, and he's gonna like roll his truck over the kid's sandcastle, and he has 4 sandcastles painted on the side, and he's watching with binoculars. The next one is a guy with a lobster. Like, he's got a big crate of lobster. He's a chef, and he's boiling lobsters, and he's got a big crate of them. But the lobster he's about to put into the pot of boiling water is saying, Auntie M, there's no place like home, there's no place like home. So, this lobster is trying to, like, Dorothy-ize itself and wake up from what it hopes is a bad dream, but I don't think it is. I think its situation is reality, which is a bummer, but a lot of kind of depressing lobster ones. This one is, it's a little boy, and he's being put to bed by his mom, and he looks really scared, and it's because there's a monster behind the door where his mom can't see. And the monster has a paper bag over its head, with 2 eye holes cut out. And the mom is saying, now, Billy, how could you have seen a monster if you can't even describe him? So the way that this monster operates is it puts a paper bag on its head so that the children can't describe it, which then, like, delegitimizes their claims that there's a monster, because their parents are like, what does the monster look like? And they can't say. I don't know, but like, the monster is very easily described. Like, it has horns and scales and claws, and like, he just can't see its face. So I think Billy could describe it. He could also just say that it has a paper bag over its head, but maybe she wouldn't believe him. This one is 4 worms. One of them is introducing his companion Sally to the other 2 and saying, Sally, this is Larry and his brother Eddie. Larry used to be an only child until the gardener hacked him in half. So yes. And Larry budded a new brother. Sorry. This one's split panels. The top one is 2 ducks at home, and the female duck, they're sitting in like easy chairs. The female duck is receiving a call, and she looks very shocked by it. And the bottom panel is like a duck hunter in a telephone booth with the duck call whistle, and it says obscene duck call. So I guess this one is like, I guess this duck whistle is like obscene. That's really all you can say, and it's must be uncomfortable and unpleasant to listen to for the female duck. And I guess this perverted duck hunter enjoys doing this. The next one is a bunch of, well, it's a field of like, it's a herd of sheep, but none of them are actually sheep. They're all wolves in sheep costumes. And they're saying, wait a minute, isn't anyone here a real sheep? So these are wolves in sheep's clothing, but they've all had the same idea. To the point that, like, none of them are sheep, so they've just, like, been hunting each other. The next one is some natives on ladders, and they're scaling, an Old West fort. And the one in the front, like, they're in the middle of, like, a battle for control of this fort, and the one in the front is saying, ooh, watch out, the walls are pointy. Because they're like the sticks, you know. The next one is two slugs at home, sitting in chairs watching TV, and the female is saying, Darlene is going with some new guy, and he's got a shell. I'm not sure if she's, like, implying that her male companion should also have a shell and be a snail. She might just want to date a snail. I'm not really sure. But, whatever that is, that's what's going on. The next one is there's 4 cowboys. One of them's a dog, but he's dressed as a cowboy, so I guess he's a cowboy, but just a dog. He has an eye patch. And there's a cowboy that, like, wants to fight him. And he's saying, okay, which one of you is the one they call Old One-Eyed Dogface? So it's very clear which of these cowboys is Old One-Eyed Dogface. And I think the joke is that, like, this guy probably shouldn't need to ask. But that's what's going on. The next one's a man who has gone to I like this one. This one's a man at the doctor, and he doesn't have a shirt on. Like, the doctor's examining him, and he's come to the doctor to complain about kidney stones, or, like, he's come to the doctor to complain about a pain in his lower back. And the doctor, I suppose, originally thought it was kidney stones, but upon closer examination, it's clear that the cause of the lower back pain is that there's a rhino sticking its horn into the man's lower back. And the doctor is saying, wait a minute here, Mr. Crumley. Maybe it isn't kidney stones after all. So the doctor just didn't notice the rhino, and that's why it's funny. But I like that one. I think it's good. This one's a man. Sorry. This one's a man and a duck. He's a professor. His name is Professor Jenkins, not the duck, the man. And the Professor Jenkins has just swum to a desert island from a sinking ship, and the duck is there with him. And the duck is saying, so, Professor Jenkins, my old nemesis, we meet again, but this time the advantage is mine. Ha ha ha. So the duck can fly, so it's not gonna have a problem with getting away from the desert island, or also it can swim. It can do both. The duck, being waterfowl, is prepared. But, like, we've seen ducks on desert islands before in The Far Side. Remember the one that had quack written in the sand? So I guess this duck is a little more capable than that one. But I guess the last time they met, Professor Jenkins had the upper hand in that situation, but this one, the duck knows that This is probably the last anyone's gonna see of Professor Jenkins, so it must be pretty vindicating. This one is a chicken returning. Well, it's okay. So it's two chickens. One of them has just returned from walking the dog. They own a dog, but the dog is like bigger than them because it's a dog, and she's slamming the dog outside because the dog is trying to eat her, even though it's her dog, but it's like on a leash and she's got the leash. And she's saying, "Blast, you raise a dog from a pup, and suddenly one day he turns out to be a chicken killer." So I guess like they got this dog when it was little because they wanted a dog, and they assumed that when it got older the dog would be loyal to them. But the dog wants to kill and eat him and them because it's a dog and dogs hunt chickens. So that sucks. The next one's an alien coming into a classroom in like the class is in progress and the alien comes in and he says, "Whoa, wrong room." So I guess he's just lost in the school. The next one is a man and a woman in the jungle, and the man is like nervously sweating because he has a brightly colored snake latched onto his nose. And the woman is reading a field guide, I guess to like find out more about this snake and what to do about it. And she's saying this dangerous viper, known for its peculiar habit of tenaciously hanging from one's nose, is vividly colored. Ooh, Murray, look, here's a picture of it. So I guess she isn't as urgent as he wishes. This one's two kids and they're hiding from what appears to be an ice cream truck. Like an ice cream truck, but it's actually selling liver and onions, and that's why they're hiding from it. But that's what it is. This one's a caveman, and he's hunting a mammoth, and he's hiding behind a tree, and he's thrown like a little rope loop out to try to get the mammoth to step in it, but it's like smaller. It's like not even half the size of the mammoth's leg. So once again, a very stupid caveman trying to hunt unsuccessfully. I guess this primitive man does not have the ability to reason. Cause that's not gonna work. But like the last one seemed pretty with it. I don't know. This one's like in the middle of a road race, but one guy's nose is like deflating and crooked and turning upwards and like causing his head to go back. And it says suddenly only a mile into the race, Ernie gets a nose cramp. The next one is two hunters in the grass, and they're in the savannah, and behind them a bunch of birds are flying out of the grass. And one of them is saying, "Keep your rifle handy, Boswell. That wounded lion could be anywhere in this tall grass." So the lion's behind them, and they don't know. And it's signaled by the birds flying away. So they're gonna get killed by the lion, I bet. This one's two cowboys, and they got a third cowboy tied to a tree, not wearing a shirt, and they're tickling him. And he's screaming, and they're saying, "Sorry, mister, but this is what we do to cattle rustlers in these parts." So I guess they're pretty lenient. Unless you like really hate tickling. Um, this one's two guys hanging by their arms in a dungeon, like prisoners, and one of them saying to the other one, "You idiot! Now this time wait for me to finish the first row your boat before you come in." So they're like singing to pass the time. They're singing row your boat because they got nothing to do. But like this guy's not doing the harmony correctly. This one's like a a hairy, disheveled man in a dilapidated room, and he has a dish full of meat out, I guess for guests, maybe just for him, and that's it. That's all it is. Um, this one is a man and a woman in a car in a parking lot, and they're going the wrong way, like in the parking lot. You know how there's arrows on the ground to tell you which way to drive? In the parking lot, so the flow of traffic is right. They're going the wrong way, and like the arrow on the ground is visible, and the woman is screaming, "Harold, you fool! The arrow goes the other way! We're doomed!" That's something I would do in a car, I think. This one's another caveman comic. It's a caveman family, but like, so the male caveman is packing up the moving truck. They're leaving the trees. That's the joke. The caption is "Primitive man leaves the trees." So they're moving away from the trees. That's why they have a moving truck. So the man's packing up, and the woman is like trying to get their son to, well, not even. She's just like angrily looking at their son because he's hugging the tree and crying. So like their son doesn't want to leave the trees. He doesn't want to move, and she's mad about it. Yeah. The next one is a snake striptease. Like, so it's a bunch of male snakes, and they're watching a female snake on stage leave her, like, skin. Like, she's shedding her new skin. But she's in a spotlight, and she looks really seductive. So, like, this is like a strip club for snakes, I guess. And they take off their skins. So whenever they molt, I guess if you're a female snake and you're about to molt, there's money to be made. This one takes place at Bob's Gallery, and presumably Bob, the proprietor of the gallery, his head is like this, like it's crooked. So all the paintings in Bob's gallery are equally crooked. The next one is a woman about to take her husband's or her male companion's picture with an alien, like in front of a flying saucer, and she's saying, yes, already, Warren, there is film in the camera. And there is. So I'm pretty sure the joke is that maybe last time this happened, there wasn't film in the camera and she took the picture, so like no one believed him that he met an alien, but this time. Or it could just be like he has anticipated that could happen, so he's making her double check. It's also possible that I don't understand non-digital cameras enough to get the joke. Like maybe the film is backwards or something, but I think it's right, but maybe not. This being the Far Side, I would not be surprised if this was gonna go wrong, but I'm not sure. This one is a man and a woman on a date, and they're both dressed normally, except under the table, the man is wearing shoes that are like covered in fruit and like two fake rabbits, and like they got air horns, so like whenever he walks, um, they the air horns get the air horns make noise, I bet. And she's saying, I judge a man by the shoes he wears, Jerry. But she must, unless like he got there way earlier and like hid his shoes, there's no way that she couldn't know. So I think she's saying like, your shoes are not doing it for me. Like, I think she has noticed the shoes and is saying this. I don't think it's like he's gonna have to be like, here's my shoes. But that's also a possibility. It's also, she doesn't look happy, so I'm assuming that she doesn't like his shoes. But maybe, I don't know. This one could go a lot of ways. He's got weird shoes though, and she judges men by their shoes. Which, I guess that's a kink, I don't know. The next one is Dracula, and he's at the baggage claim at the airport, and he's freaking out because his coffin got all banged up during the flight, or like so like his coffin was broken sometime during the baggage transfer, and he is justifiably upset because like he needs that to sleep. So yeah. The next one is a bunch of like military officers watching a slideshow, and the current slide that they're on is a mushroom cloud, but it's upside down. And the general leading the presentation is saying, now this next slide, gentlemen, demonstrates the awesome power of our 20 megaton. For crying out loud, not again. So like, I guess they've been trying to give this presentation, but the multiple slides are upside down, so it's like not as, it doesn't have the gravitas that they wish it did. The next one is some soldiers being led through the desert, and the two in the front of the marching column have mouths full of water and like a puddle of water under them, and they're holding their canteens, and what they've been doing is swallowing, well, like filling up their cheeks with water and then spitting it at each other, and which I assume is a waste, implied to be a giant waste of water because they're in the desert, and their commander is saying, halt. Okay, Johnson, Higgins, you both just swallow what you've got and knock off these water fights once and for all. The next one is a scientist, and he's just gotten out of a time machine in a prehistoric time where like there's dinosaurs and stuff around. And he's walking away from his time machine with a gas can. So I guess his time machine is out of gas. And he's gonna go look for a gas station, but there isn't gonna be one because humans don't even exist yet. So that not gonna go well for him. Yeah. The next one is 3 horses, tied up to a hitching post. But one of them's legs have all been stolen and are like propped up on bricks, a block, and like a jack. And it says, "Never park your horse in a bad part of town." The next one is it's all it is it's an alien on some extraterrestrial body, and an astronaut like on the moon or something, and he's observing like the alien Mount Rushmore. It's just 4 alien faces carved into a big mountain. The next one is a cow on top of an airplane, and the pilot is saying, "Fool, give me those controls. You're just dang lucky both barn doors were open." So the co-pilot flew this airplane through a barn, but the barn was large enough that since the door was open, they made it through without crashing into the barn or like into the ground. So like that's pretty impressive. But however, apparently they took some of the livestock with them, which is not good. And the captain is understandably mad at his co-pilot. The next one is 2 cows in a kitchen. And they're going through, like, one of them's going through the freezer, one of them's going through a tin of flour, but the one going through the freezer looks scared. And the caption is, "While Farmer Brown was away, the cows got into the kitchen and were having the time of their lives until Betsy's unwitting discovery." So Betsy found, like, frozen beef in the freezer, and now understands the reason that Farmer Brown keeps cattle, which must be very disturbing indeed. There's a note next to us. There's a letter next to it that says, it's from Janet A. Dinerman, and it says, "Dear Mr. Larson, please help us settle this minor family dispute. My son maintains that Betsy's unwitting discovery was finding steak in the freezer. My husband and I believe that Betsy found Farmer Brown's supply of frozen bull semen. Which of the above is the right answer? Or are they both wrong? Did you have something more delightful in delightful? Did you have something more delightful in mind? What? We can hardly bear to wait for your answer." Yeah, it seems that way, Janet. "Thank you for making our mornings a real pleasure. Your cartoons are weird, but delicious." Alright, Janet and her husband, way too excited about bull semen. But, to each their own. I don't think it's bull semen. For the record, I'm pretty sure she found steak. I think the kid is right. And Janet and her husband are a little too interested in the possibility of it being bull semen. I don't know if Gary wrote back to them. I hope he did. I hope he said that it was bull semen. The next one is 2 amoebas and their amoeba dog in like a floating living room. Like, they have a living room, but since they're amoebas, it's all like floating because they're in like a petri dish or wherever they are, in water or something. Oh, they live in a drop of water. And it says things that live in a drop of water and some of their furniture. So I guess the joke is that they're amoebas. The next one takes place at Acme Insecticide Incorporated. So these are like insecticide manufacturers, and they're having a meeting. But above their table, there's a spider swinging like on a web, much like Tarzan, and it's going, "Yee-haw!" So I guess it's implied that they're gonna kill the spider. I don't know. but I don't know. Maybe the spider's just taunting them. The next one is a new take on the classic like arrow. You know, like those hats where it's like the arrow goes through your head, and you got like the two head so that the arrow looks like it's like a prank thing. It looks like you've been shot in the head with an arrow. It's this, but it's like it's a bunch of plains natives in a teepee, and one of them is standing up, and he has one that's like a rifle. It looks like a rifle is sticking through his head. So I guess since they use arrows, it's reversed. And the chief is saying, hey, look at Red Bear. Wait, that's not real. I guess it worked. But the next one is Plains natives again. One of them is stepping on an air horn. They're like, it's three of them, and they're following, or they're stalking a cowboy or just looking at him. But one of them has stepped on an air horn on the ground and alerted the cowboy that they're watching him. And one of the other ones is saying, and you call yourself an Indian. So like, because of his indigenous heritage, one of the stereotypes of natives is that they can walk really quietly, and he does not demonstrate this because he's stepping on an air horn. And they're mad because he's foiled their mission. This is really taking a while. Okay. The next one is it's like a band leader at a wherever a big band plays, like a sock hop. I don't know. I wasn't alive in the 50s, but like there's some animals in the crowd, and the band leader is reading a note, and he says, "What? Another request for Old MacDonald?" So the animals in the crowd just keep requesting Old MacDonald because it's about a farm, and he's getting sick of that. This one's a submarine stuck in a tide pool, but like it's like a full-sized submarine. So it's just sticking out straight up into the air, and it's huge. And there's two submarine sailors coming out of the top, and there's like a guy looking in all of the tide pools. I guess he's collecting stuff. And one of the submarine people is saying, "Blast! Caught another tide pool, and here comes some damn beachcomber." So I guess their mission is like secret or something. I don't know. They don't want to be found by this man. But it's very clear that they're there because they're in a full-size submarine. This one's two scientists in the laboratory. One of them is about to shoot a rubber band off his finger at the other scientist, and it says, on October 23rd, 1927, 3 days after its invention, the first rubber band is tested. So there you go. This one is a man, and he's just finished making a jelly sandwich that he's just taken a bite out of, but he's also about to step on a bug on the floor, and the bug is saying, "Wait, spare me. I've got a wife, a home, and over 1,000 eggs laid in the jelly." So the bug laid a bunch of eggs in the jelly that this man has just made a sandwich out of. I don't know if that's gonna make him want to spare the bug. Probably not. I don't know why the bug would bring that up. But the next one is like a happy portrayal of Dorian Gray, kind of. But it's two paintings. One of them's Dorian Gray, and the caption is the portrait of Dorian Gray and his dog. So like Dorian Gray's old sinful well, not self-portrait, but like his portrait, the portrait of him that ages and becomes hideous is on the wall. And there's an equally hideous portrait of a dog next to it. And outside, Dorian and his dog are playing with a stick. But they look like they're having a really good time. So that's nice. Maybe in the Far Side, Dorian Gray like had a handle on his crazy sinful living, and he just got a dog and played with the dog for eternity. I don't know, but that's a very positive take on Dorian Gray. The next one's cavemen again. It's a cave woman, and her cave son has just brought home a pterodactyl, but it's like huge. Maybe it's like what's the big one? The Quetzalosaurus something. There's a big one. The big pterosaur, and he's saying, "Oh please, Mom, I've already handled him, and now the mother won't take him back." So like, I guess this kid believes in the myth that when you touch a bird, the mom won't take it back, but with pterodactyls or whatever this giant prehistoric flying creature is. This one is a parrot and a really weird looking guy, and his name is Bob, and he's saying, "Okay, now it's my turn. Bob want the cracker. Bob want the cracker." So he's doing like the parrot want the cracker thing, but the parrot's got the cracker, and I guess they swap back and forth. Or it's also possible that like he thought the parrot was gonna give the cracker back and it's not. I'm not sure. The real meat of this comic seems to be that Bob is strange looking, or and I think that makes him dumb. It's a very romanticist portrayal of beauty. Remember the missile launch operators? This one's like that. It's three guys and they're all in a control room at a missile launch place, and they're all watching a video of a missile launch. I think it's like mission control for a rocket. I don't think it's military, but like they're watching a rocket in a control room. But the picture is like kind of staticky. And in the background there's like a cleaning woman with a vacuum cleaner, which I suppose is what's making the picture static. And one of the operators is saying, "Hey, what's going on here? We're losing the visual." So the cleaning woman, her vacuum is interfering with the rocket launch. We're not even through August yet. This one's like the box stick setup from the caveman, where like they were in the box. It's an old man and he's got a box propped up on a stick as a pit or as a trap, and there's a cake inside, and there's two kids looking at it. I'm pretty sure he's trying to catch the kids in the box, and his wife is, for whatever reason, and his wife is coming outside and she's saying, "Good heavens, Charles, you're at it again." So I guess he does this a lot. And she's saying, "And with my fresh sponge cake, I see." So Charles likes to trap kids and then do something to them. But he stole his wife's cake to do so. This one is a lot like the old snake that got run over. It's a mouse in a chair, and his nose is like crushed, an old man mouse. And there's a bunch of children mice. There's also a framed picture of cheese, which I like. But there's three children mice. And they're saying, "Wow, Well, what happened next, Gramps, after you found the cheese sitting on the little block of wood? So, like, he's describing getting his face crushed by a mousetrap, but still living. And that's it. This one is a bunch of monsters. They look very much like the monsters from Where the Wild Things Are. And they're spying on a Boy Scout troop in the woods, and I guess the Boy Scouts are camping and telling scary stories. Because one of the monsters is saying, oh no, they're telling the story of the hooked hand. I'll never get to sleep tonight. So they're scared of the Boy Scouts stories. The next one is another malevolent thing trying to kidnap children. Something with a big eye. I don't know how many eyes it has, but at least one big one is hiding in a dark house. And it's baked some fresh cookies. I think my dog wants to come inside, so I'll be right back. But basically, like, it's trying to... Now, I'll explain it when I come back. Alright, hi, I'm back. So, I was reading this I did come back after my dog was barking. And I read for a little bit, but then I collapsed on the page and I was like, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this anymore. So I stopped the video and I went downstairs. And it's so much, well, actually it's about the same temperature down there. It's cold everywhere in my house today. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure the outside is warmer, because I was just out there and it's pretty warm outside. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm still super cold. And I made lunch. It's been a few hours. So I guess I just took a break. But I'm back. Don't really want to keep doing this, but you know. Gotta do the stuff. So I think we left off with the monster one. And it's just like, it's a monster inside a house. And it's trying to entrap children by putting freshly made cookies on the windowsill with like a stand fan, and then blowing the cookie aroma out into the world. So like we only see the eye, like I said, but there's a kid on the other side of the fence who looks like he's gonna make a go for the cookies, and then whatever's inside is gonna get him. The next one's another caveman thing. It's a caveman birthday party, and a cave woman is approaching with like a weird like mound of food, and then just a giant burning log, I guess, is the candle. This one is a cowboy being chased by some plains natives, but he's had to stop because I guess his horse's left leg is popped, so he's like inflating it like a bike tire with an air pump, but he's doing it really, really quickly because, like I said, he's being chased. So I don't know how well he's gonna do. That's what's going on. This one is a caveman, but he's a hoarder. And we see that his cave is just like filled with stuff. And his wife is standing outside, and he's coming home with a bird cage. And she's saying, well, here comes Mr. Hunter and Gatherer with another useless treasure. So I guess like hoarding has persisted to the modern day. But the thing is, every one of his things is modern. Like all the things he's hoarding. He's got like a dishwasher and like a radio, and I think there's a stuffed elephant in there. There's a like table, fishing rods, plunger, a mounted moose head. But yeah, he's coming back with a bird cage. The next one's an Alien reference, like the movie Alien. It's the So it's a bunch of the big ones, the big aliens, and the one that comes out of your chest is coming out of a birthday cake. Like you get it. Instead of like coming out of a chest, is coming out of a birthday cake. Like, you know, how they do. Really not doing well with this today. This one is two mathematicians on a beach. And there's two women, and they're like fawning over one mathematician, but they see that there's like the other mathematician is doing a more advanced problem. So they're gonna go over with him now. So I guess these mathematicians are like competing for the attention of these two women. But in the Far Side, being incredibly skilled at math is considered a very desirable trait. This one is two saber-toothed tigers, and they've just eaten a cave person, and one of the saber-toothed tigers is saying to the other one, I've heard all kinds of sounds from these things, but Yabba Dabba Doo was a new one to me. So they just ate Fred Flintstone and were confused by what his catchphrase is. This one's another caveman comic. It's a caveman in a caveman fortune-telling cave. So there's a cave fortune teller with a crystal ball and a caveman receiving his fortune. And the fortune teller is saying, I see your little petrified skull labeled and resting on a shelf somewhere. So after the caveman dies, his skull was fossilized and put in a lab by an archaeologist. It's really not that scary though. So, you know, as fortunes go, that's not that bad. I wouldn't mind if that happened to me. If like millions of years in the future they found my fossilized head and put it in the lab, that'd be fine. But it's not gonna happen, because there's not gonna be a skull left over. This one is two bears in the city, and all the people walking by are looking at them, and one of the bears is saying to the other bear, well, we're lost, and it's probably just a matter of time before someone decides to shoot us. Which is probably true. I guess yeah. No, it's not really. It's just like there are two bears and they're lost, and they have an accurate read of human society. This one's Confucius, and it's titled Confucius at the Office, and like he's just like brainstorming little things, like little sayings, like little Confucian sayings of wisdom. He's got like a wastebasket full of crumpled up pieces of paper, so like I guess it's hard. And he's got 3. So far he's written 3 on a chalkboard next to him, so I guess those are like the keepers. So he's got the road may fork, so drive carefully. Do not let the bed bugs bite, and looks like we're in for some rain. The next one is the next one's another bird on a desert island and a man on a desert island, and the desert islands are next to each other. And it's a chicken this time, not a duck, but the chicken is saying, boy, there's sure a lot of sharks around here, aren't there? Circling and circling. There goes another one. Killers of the sea. Yes, sirree. So I guess the chicken is like joking about, I don't know why the chicken is talking about the sharks. I think it's that the chicken doesn't want the guy to swim over and eat it. So it's like creating a fake story about sharks being in the water. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. This one's two crocodiles, and they're underneath a tree with monkeys hanging from their tails, and one of the monkeys has been eaten by the crocodiles, and like just its tail was left behind. So I guess they're like jumping up in the air to grab the monkeys and pull them off the branch, because one of them is saying to the other one, okay, here we go again. 1, 2, 3. Oh, one of them is like boosting the other one up. So like one of them holds the other one up so they can grab the monkey. And that's their process. But the monkeys could easily move. I don't know why the monkeys are letting this happen. The monkeys are all aware of what's going on. This one is two guys in a boat with a water skier. And the water skier is not skiing. He's just floating next to the boat. Like, maybe they're getting ready to water ski. But he's in the water and he's got his skis on. And one of the guys in the boat is saying, there, quick, Larry, look. Was I kidding? That sucker's longer than the boat. So, like, there's a large sea creature in the water with the water skier. The one on my birthday was the bears in the city. This one this one's a bunch of like barbarians storming a castle. Like they're going across, they've made it across the moat and they're on their way into the castle. But while they're going over the moat, one of them is saying, ooh, goldfish, everyone, goldfish. So there's goldfish in the moat and he's pointing it out. This one's an elephant in a herd of elephants, and it's just slipped on a banana peel, and I guess it's embarrassed and sort of angry. This one is like the janitor at a microscope lab, and he's in the electron microscope lab room. And he's using the electron microscope to look at his lunch. Like he's eating lunch, but he's looking at an apple core with the electron microscope. I don't really see the problem with that. The next one is two hunters. One of them is posing with a lion he shot, but there's also like a dead human, and I think it's implied that they killed the human too. Like the human is like being posed with the lion and the hunter, like the lion got the human, but I think they killed both of them. And the lion definitely killed the guy, but the one taking the picture is saying, Andrew, fix Edgar's head, it's not facing the camera. So I guess like the lion killed one of them, but they're still taking the picture with that dead person's corpse in the picture with them. I don't know. I don't really get that one. I think that's what it is though. This one is like an animal party. Like it's a bunch of animals at a party. And it's 3 herbivores talking like together, and in the background there's a bunch of predators looking at them and drinking from the punch bowl. And the zebra is saying to an antelope and a sheep, I don't like this. The carnivores have been boozing it up at the punch bowl all night. Drinking, looking around, drinking, looking around. So I guess like the carnivores are there to hunt. And the other ones haven't put it together tonight. I mean, to yet. Um, the next one I like. Um, the next one's like a guy, and he's come down into the middle of the night to get a snack from the fridge, but he's holding a banner that says "Condiment Dance Tonight." And he looks angry, and he's saying, "And I'll just take this, thank you," and knock off that music. So I guess his condiments are having a party in the fridge and making a lot of noise. Maybe that's why he came downstairs, but like he's shutting down the party. Like he took their banner, and he doesn't want the contents of his fridge to be having a party. I don't like the cowboy ones. This one's a bunch of cowboys, and instead of putting their bandanas over their faces, they put them over their eyes. And they're saying, "Dang, this can't be right. I can hear the stage, but I can't see a blamed thing." So they're not too bright, basically. They wanted to rob a stagecoach, but they put their blindfolds in over their faces, and they really probably shouldn't be there. The next one is a dock, over some water. There's a lighthouse in the back, and there's a tackle box on the dock, but whoever was fishing has been eaten, because we see there's like a giant bite taken out of the front of the dock. So whatever someone was fishing at the end of the dock, and something real big came up out of the water and ate that person and a sizable chunk of the front of the dock. This one is an octopus, like, pretending its tentacle is like a little small thing to, like, I guess get this guy to, like, either reach his hand in the water or come close enough that it can grab him. And that's really all it is. It's like an octopus fishing for humans, I think, is its joke. This one's two frogs at home, and there's a bunch of like dents and holes in their ceiling, and they have lumps in their head, and it says "the frogs at home." So I guess like the frogs keep hopping, but since their ceiling is so low, they bump themselves in the head every time they do. It looks like they just need a larger domicile. Oh, there's 3 of them. This one is a split panel comic. It's Captain Hook being taunted by Captain Hook is in bed at night, and he's being taunted by the crocodile with the clock in it, and it's going tick tock tick tock. It's called him in bed from wherever it lives. They're also both really old, so I guess this takes place in the future, or after they've left Neverland. I guess the alligator or the crocodile also left when Captain Hook left. This one's 2 penguins. Well, there's a bunch of penguins, but 2 of them are the subjects, and one of them saying, "Say, you're not Bob. You look like him, but you're certainly not him." So this penguin is, the other penguin's claiming to be Bob, I guess, but it's not. It just looks like him because they all look the same. This one's a bunch of cavemen, and they're all wearing animals. Like, they're not wearing animal pelts, they're wearing animals. Just like full animals. And there's a caveman advertising a knife, which I guess he's invented, and he's saying, "Yes, with the amazing new knife, you only have to wear the skin of those dead animals." So I guess he's gonna like cut down on the weight of their garments. This one is I like this one. This one's a guy eating soup, but he's holding the spoon upside down. But it says Daryl suspected someone had once again slipped him a trick spoon with the concave side reversed. So like, Daryl is just like an idiot and is eating he's eating soup with like the spoon, but he's holding it upside down. But instead of just like turning the soup up the spoon the right way, he believes that like someone has tricked him into believing that this is a normal spoon when it's actually a trick spoon. I like this one. The next one is, I like this one too. The next one is two guys in like hazmat suits, and they're inside a room that says keep out radioactive area, and one of them has a big rip in his suit, and he's ripping a hole in the other one's suit, and he's saying, "So Foster, that's how you want it, huh? Then take this." So I guess this guy and Foster don't really like each other, and Foster like ripped a hole in his suit, so in retaliation he's ripping a hole in Foster's hazmat suit, so they're both gonna die from the radiation because their suits have been damaged. But I guess they're just really don't like each other. This one is so it's three people on a desert island, two men and one woman, but one of the men, who I guess was involved with the woman, has been crushed by the asteroid. And it says, with Roger out of the way, it was Sydney's big chance. And like, Sydney looks malevolent. Like, I don't think his intentions with this woman are very nice. But yeah, I guess either Roger was like protecting this woman or they were together. But Sydney wants to be with this woman, but now Roger's dead because he was killed by an asteroid. This one's a guy walking through the tall grass, but an elephant leg has just come out and tripped him, so he's fallen face first down, and it says, "Beware the elephant in tall grass." So I guess it's like you should be able to see an elephant in tall grass, and it should be like, "Beware the snake in tall grass," I think. But I don't know. This one's two kids looking at their reflection in like a pond, and behind them is this giant monster that's about to like get them. And one of them is saying, "My reflection, look at yours, Randy. You look like some big fat swamp thing." So this kid thinks that the swamp thing's reflection is his friend Randy's. So he's oblivious to what's about to happen. I like this comic, but it's sad. Not really, but it's funny. It's like, okay, so it's a guy and it's like a view of this guy's lawn outside his house, and it's just been mowed, but it's been mowed very poorly. Like there's a lot of like patches of unmowed grass, and it's like someone just like drove the mower through it with reckless abandon. And he's yelling at his dog, and his dog is sitting next to the mower, so like the dog mowed the lawn, and he had the dog mow the lawn, and that's why the lawn is so badly mowed. And he's saying, "You call that mowing the lawn? Bad dog, no biscuit, bad dog." So like, he told his dog to mow the lawn, and the dog did a bad job, so now he's mad at the dog. This one's a guy in an office, and he's looking out his window at like the building across the street, and there's just a bunch of people in the window. In every one of the windows is a person making a face at him. So I guess all of these people, I don't know if they're coordinating this, but they're all just antagonizing this man that they work across from. I don't know why, but that's what it is. This one's a guy walking through the desert, and he's being chased by a bunch of buffaloes, but the buffaloes are like underground, so just their horns are visible. And he's running away from one, and it says Charles wanders into a herd of dirt buffaloes. So I guess these buffaloes live underground and, like, attack people who come near them. I don't know. The next one's a woman at a dance club dancing with an alligator. Or I guess it's a crocodile. Everyone else in the club is a human. And the crocodile is saying, "My turn. Well, I'm originally from the shores of the Upper Nile, and say, did anyone ever tell you your pupils are round?" So, I guess they're just meeting, like this crocodile or the woman one of them asked the other one to dance. And they're just getting to know each other, and the crocodile appears to be confused about human eye shape. He might be complimenting her, I'm not really sure. But yeah. I guess like he's never encountered like a non-reptile-eyed person. This is two explorers in the jungle. And one is saying, "I presume you're Dr. Livingston. I mean, presumably you're Dr. Livingston. No, wait, dang, I've screwed it up. I don't get it." I guess they don't know each other. And this guy screwed up his first impression. I don't know. I don't really get it. But they're in the jungle. This one is a cave woman dancing in front of a fire for a bunch of cavemen, and instead of holding a rose in her teeth, she has a big log, and it says Primitive Fandango. I think that most of the cavemen comics appear to just be like cavemen supplementing small things with large logs. That appears to be the bulk of the caveman humor from the Far Side. Is just like instead of like looking at instead of looking at something small with this magnifying glass, if I was a caveman in the Far Side, I'd be using a log, and that would be the joke. Or like instead of using this screwdriver to screw in a screw, I would be using a log. And that's what they are. The next one we've seen before. It's very similar to another comic I think I read earlier today, where two ducks have a dog, and they're shutting it out of their house, and it's trying to get in. But in this one, the male duck has previously been attacked by a dog, and the duck. So like this dog is actually hunting them. In the previous one, they were raising the dog, but these ducks are being hunted. Oh wait, those were chickens. But anyway, these two ducks are being hunted by a dog. I guess that's why they don't own it, because ducks get hunted by dogs. But they're shutting it out. Once again, the dog's paw has been caught in the door, and the female duck is saying, "Look out, Larry, that retriever has finally found you." So I guess this retriever has been after Larry for a while and has followed him to his house. This one's a knight, and he's having a dream that he's arrived at battle without any clothes, and it says Common Medieval Nightmare. So I guess it's like the knight version of like being naked in front of a bunch of people. I don't know. This one's Tarzan again. And he's got a bunch of he's coming home to Jane. He's coming home to their house in the trees. And he's got a bunch of claw marks on him. And it says, "Say, I think I smell..." And this is Jane speaking. She's saying, "Say, I think I smell perfume. You haven't been over at the Leopard Woman's, have you?" So, like, he definitely has. Or he was attacked by a perfumed leopard. I don't think leopards live in the jungle. But are you gonna do? This one is a this one's a guy watching two monsters like make out on their couch, but he's peering in the window. And it says Clayton frequently watched the monsters until the night he knocked over the garbage can and was subsequently eaten. So like this guy comes over and watches like these two monsters whenever they're intimate, but one night he knocked over the garbage and alerted them to his presence and they ate him. The next one is a woman in a chair and she's eating a bowl of soup underneath a mounted moose head. And the moose's one of the moose's eyes has fallen into her soup and she's unconscious. So I guess she saw the eye in her soup looking back up at her and fainted. The next one is Mr. Potato Head in court, and Mrs. Potato Head is testifying against him, and the lawyer is saying, "So now tell the court, if you will, Mrs. Potato Head, exactly what transpired on the night your husband chased you with the Veg-O-Matic." So like, I think what happened is Mr. Potato Head looks very angry at his wife. So I'm pretty sure Mr. Potato Head attempted to like put his wife in like a blender or a food processor or something, and she got away, but she took him to court and now she's testifying. But Mr. Potato Head looks very upset. This one is I don't really get it. I think this man is just a head, but he's wearing clothes. But the clothes are like too big, but like I don't think he has arms or legs or anything. This one's really hard to describe because I don't get it. But okay, so it's a sea captain, and he's sitting on a doctor examination table. He's still wearing like his sea captain outfit, but it's really loose on him and we can't see if he has any feet or arms. Like that's how loose it is, and he looks really low to like the table. So it appears that he's just a head wearing a full set of clothes, or maybe like a head and a torso. And I think the reason why that is because the rest of his body was eaten by a giant squid. But the doctor is laughing at him, I think because he's like a quad amputee. So the doctor's saying, "Well, Captain Grunfield, it says here you were expelled from the belly of a large squid after your boat, after," and then he just laughs hysterically. I have no idea what it means. I think it's just like this guy got eaten by a squid and somehow got out, but like the squid ate most of him, and now the doctor's laughing at him. I don't know why, but that appears to be what's going on. This one's a pilot flying a big airplane, but he doesn't have his hands on the control. Like, he doesn't have his hands on the steering wheel. He just has his arms like this, like an airplane. So I guess he's pretending to be the airplane. But that's it. This one's a bird opening the fridge, and it's saying, "Dang, who ate the middle out of the daddy long legs?" There's a bird in the other room reading a book. So I bet it was that bird, but I don't know. I don't want to make any bold claims. I like this one. This one's like a guy in like a bird costume with springs on his feet and boxing gloves, and his head is inside a bird cage, and he's got a huge goofy smile and a mallet, and there's a bunch of like dead or unconscious people on a city street around him, like he's been beating them with the mallet. And the police are there, and he's just shown them a license. And one of the policemen is saying, well, I'll be darned, I guess he does have a license to do that. So I guess what happened is, like, these cops were walking or, like, driving through the city, and they saw this crazy man with a hammer just beating people dressed in, like, a bird costume with a bird cage on his head. So they stopped and, like, came over, and instead of like immediately arresting him or being like, stop beating people with your mallet, they said, do you have a license for that? Like, do you have a license to go around beating people with your mallet and your bird costume? And he does have a license to do that, which is surprising, I will admit. But I don't think that should have been the first thing they said. I don't think they should have just been like, do you have a license for that? Or maybe the reason that they asked if he had a license was because they knew that there's a possibility that he might have a license to do this. Maybe licenses for things like that. Maybe licenses in the Far Side are more free form. Like, maybe you can, like, apply. Maybe you can just be like, I want a license to go around dressed in a bird costume and just beat people with a mallet. And once they, like, certify you for that, you're allowed to do it. Maybe that's what's going on. But I guess he's off the hook now, and he can continue beating people with his hammer. I don't know who gave him the license, or if it's real. This comic leaves us with more questions than answers, I think. This one's a kid eating animal crackers out of the box with the string on it, and like, two of them are bitten onto his fingers. So I guess the animal crackers are fighting back. This one is Tonto, and he's outside an outhouse. He's on a horse, and there's a horse next to him without a rider. So I guess the Lone Ranger is in the outhouse, and he's saying, Kimosabi, the music's starting, the music's starting. So like the Lone Ranger's show or like radio program or the movie with Johnny Depp that didn't do very well, it's starting because like the theme music is playing, but the Lone Ranger is using the bathroom, so he's not really prepared, and Tonto is trying to get him to come out. The next one is 5 bank robbers, and they're discussing their plans to rob the bank, and they all have hats on, like just like flat brimmed hats, but one of them had like the brim is sticking up, and I guess like the leader is saying, so then when the bank doors open, Louis, you jerk, your hat brim is up. So I guess that's a big no-no. I don't know why. This one is entitled Early Physics, and it's a bunch of cavemen at a math lecture. And the the professor is using a rope and pulley system to lift a mammoth off the ground while also writing on a chalkboard like math theorems. So these are rather advanced cavemen. It is a pretty sophisticated rope and pulley system. None of them are even looking at the mammoth. I guess the mammoth's just like a demonstration of physics, and that's why it's early physics, because they gotta do it with a mammoth and they're cavemen. But like the theorems they're doing are very advanced. And the mammoth doesn't look upset or anything. The mammoth is still alive and its eyes are open, but its expression is more like, okay, here we go again. The mammoth's being a good sport about it, I guess. A lot of weird comics on this page. The next one is the next one's an old west fort being attacked by natives, and like the chef has just opened the door to like take out the trash, and one of the soldiers is saying, "Fletcher, you fool, the gate, the gate." So like he is oblivious to the battle that's taking place, so like he could let them in because he opened the gate. So I don't know, Fletcher. The next one is a split panel comic. The first panel says "What we say to dogs," and it's a man yelling at his dog, and he's saying, "Okay, Ginger, I've had it. You stay out of the garbage. Understand, Ginger? Stay out of the garbage or else." And in the second panel, it says "What they hear." And what the dog hears from, like, what the man was saying is blah, blah, Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 blah. So I guess the dog only understands its name. So this man yelling at the dog is doing nothing to affect what he wishes it to, because the dog doesn't understand. The next one is, I'm gonna check to see if it's recording. Okay. The next one is a man and a woman sitting on a couch in their house, and there's a goose coming in from outside. And the woman is saying, "Here comes Earl. Remember, be gentle but firm. We are absolutely, positively not driving him south this winter." So, I don't think they want the goose living there. This one could go either way. This could either mean, because it all depends on what driving means. They could be saying, like, the woman could be saying that they don't want, she could be saying that, like, the husband last time wasn't forceful enough when they told Earl to leave, so like they ended up just like driving him down south instead of him having to fly. Or driving could mean like driving to do something, like, yeah, just beep all the way down the street. I'm sure that's gonna solve your problem. It either could be like they don't want Earl to leave, and like we don't want to drive him south, like we don't want to make him go south. I really don't know which it is. Here comes Earl. Remember, be gentle but firm. We are absolutely, positively not... Okay, I think it's the first one. I think they don't want Earl the goose living with them anymore. So they gotta be gentle but firm. Like, they have to be like, "Earl, it's not working out. You have to leave. Like, we love you, but you can't live here anymore." Or maybe only in the winter this happens. I don't know. This one is confusing. But they live with a goose named Earl, and I don't think they want him there anymore. But apparently he goes somewhere during the day, leaving them time to talk about it during his absence. This one is a duck. This one's a man. It's 6 panels. It's a man trying to communicate with a duck. So in the first panel, he says, Sprechen Sie Deutsch? And the duck doesn't respond. And the next one, he says, Habla Español? Duck doesn't respond. The next one, he says, Parlez-vous français? It doesn't respond. And then he says, quack? And the duck says, quack. And then in the next panel, they go, quack, 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 quack. And then the duck goes, quack, 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 quack. So, like, this man speaks a variety of languages, including duck, but he had to figure out which one the duck spoke first. So I guess he can communicate by quacking with the duck, because in the final panel, like, they're having a conversation. But in the previous 5, I don't know why he doesn't, maybe he doesn't want to assume that the duck speak. Maybe that's, like, offensive to, like, assume that the duck speaks duck instead of, like, human languages. I don't know. The next one is Cavemen again. It's a caveman orchestra, and the conductor is the conductor is in the process of conducting, but the only thing written on the sheet music is just one big 8th note. So, like, they're just like playing. He just wants them to, I guess it's just like, since it's cavemen, their music is more simplified, so they are only playing one note. But it looks like they only play it once, and then there's a, like, cause the measure ends after the note. It's not like a continuous sound. It's like this one note and then they stop. And there's no other pages. This one is a little girl with 3 snakes in jars, and all the snakes have clothes on. And it says, Frances loved her little pets and dressed them up differently each day. Every day. So she has snakes and she puts little outfits on them. I don't know why she keeps them in jars. They look far too big to be in the jars. They're really confusing. This one is not confusing. This one is 2 boys and they have a bear cub and they're just throwing it back and forth like they're playing catch with a bear cub. Like a living bear cub. And in the background, we see presumably the mother of the bear cub, like the mama bear. And it says, and no one ever heard from the Anderson brothers again. And you know, not surprising at all, but yeah, that's what's going. That one, that's a good one. That's an easy one. This one is Cavemen again. This one's a caveman. And another caveman is using him as bait, but it's not like under duress. Like, oh, sorry. And like, it's not like under duress. Like, the cavemen are fishing together, but one of them has to be the bait. But they're doing this like in tandem, and there's a giant fish that is really obviously about to eat the one that's the bait. And his fishing partner is holding a spear like this, like he's ready to throw the spear at the giant fish that is obviously in the water. But he hasn't done it yet for some reason. And the other one is saying, now Grog, throw. So, like, the other one has recognized that he's gonna get eaten if the other caveman doesn't throw the spear. But I guess just because he's a caveman, hasn't thrown it. The next one is some apes. One of them's grooming the other one and talking. And I think it's, like, supposed to be, like, an ape hair salon, because they're, like, gossiping. Because the one grooming the other one is saying, so then Sheila says to Betty that Arnold told her what Harry was up to, but Betty told me she already heard it from Blanche, don't you know? So, yeah, they're gossiping while they groom. each other's backs. The next one's an ant. It's a bunch of ants going somewhere in like a column, but the one in front is throwing a baton in the air as if like they're a parade, but they don't appear to be a parade. It's also not clear which ant threw it, but I think it's the one in front. The next one's a caveman, and he's chiseling a toaster out of some rocks, and that's all it is. This one's two cowboys about to have a duel. Like they're about to draw. And one of them is yelling, "Shoes untied," at the other one, like he wants him to check his shoes so he can shoot him. But I don't know if the other one's gonna fall for it. His shoe is also not untied, so it is a lie. This one is a guy and he's mugging, he's coming out from an alleyway in the city and he's mugging Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion. But it's like after they've come from the Emerald City. They might still be in the Emerald City because this does take place on a city street. Or it could just be an unrelated bad neighborhood in Oz. But he's saying, come on, buddy, the heart. Hand over the heart. And you with the brains. Let's have them. So he's just taking all the shit that the wizard gave him. Dorothy's still there. Doesn't she go away at the end of that? I guess in this one she doesn't go back. She just gets robbed. This one is pretty accurate to what I was about to describe it as. It's like from the caption. It's three guys fishing in a boat, and there's a squid coming up from the bottom of the boat, and the squid looks irritated, but it's not a giant squid. It's pretty big. It's like a medium-sized squid, and the caption says, "Look out, everyone! We're being attacked by a giant squid." Well, no, I'd say medium squid. So, like, I guess the squid is irritated that they made a point to state that it's not a giant squid, but it clearly isn't. So, sorry, squid. But, yeah. The next one is the next one's like a spider web with a swing attached to it. Like, I guess the spider likes to swing, so it has a swing. But a frog is below it, and nothing's on the swing. And the swing is still moving, so I guess like the spider was swinging, and the frog came along and ate it. The next one is a guy showing like his guests his pet snake, and he's about to give it like a doll of a little girl, and he's saying, "Hey, you'll get a kick out of this, Bill and Ruth. Watch what Lola here does with her new squeeze doll." So like this big snake, I assume, crushes the little doll, and I'd like to see that. I guess it's implied that it might be a little frightening to watch, but it's not like it's a real person. It's just a doll. I don't know, I'd do that if I had a big constrictor. Give it little toys of people. Maybe like voodoo dolls of people I don't like. This one's a kid in his bedroom, and like directly above his bed is a big hornet's nest, and all the hornets are coming and stinging him. And his mom is coming in and she's saying, "Well, Bobby, it's not like you haven't been warned. No roughhousing under the hornet's nest." So I guess this is just in his room, and he's been warned, like, you can't play in your room because there's a hornet's nest in it. But his mom is mad that he didn't follow instructions. She's not concerned that he's being stung by an entire hive of hornets. I guess they like the hornets more than they like Bobby. This one is a bunch of, well, it's a man in a a boy in a museum for like appliances, and all the like there's a blender, a washing machine, a toaster, and they're all labeled with like scientific names. And like the blender is Mixthachosaurus, the washing machine is Washgenthronicus, the the toaster is Rimopanthecus, no, Rimopathanicus, and it says museums of the future. So I guess in the future, museums typically show collections of appliances rather than fossilized dinosaurs. For some unknown reason. I guess maybe they think that they were alive. I'm not sure what the hang up was. Why the future is this way. This one's a bunch of cowboys in a pillow fight. I mean, yeah. Well, it's a bunch of cowboys in a saloon and they're having a pillow fight, and there's two like deputies looking in, and one of them saying, "Somebody better run fetch the sheriff." So I guess this is illegal. They don't want pillow fights. This one's two spiders, and they've built a web at the bottom of a slide on a playground, and one of them is saying, "If we pull this off, we'll eat like kings." So they're trying to catch a kid coming down the slide with their spider web. This one is Igor coming back to like the lab, and he's pulling a locomotive steam engine train behind him, like an entire train. He's pulling it into the laboratory, and Dr. Frankenstein is with the monster, and he's saying, "Curses, how long does it take Igor to go out and bring back a simple little brain anyway?" And Igor looks upset Igor looks pretty shocked and worried for obvious reasons, because what seems to have transpired is that Dr. Frankenstein asked Igor to bring him a brain, and Igor misheard and thought he heard him say train. And he, by gum, he went and got a train, and he brought it all the way back to the lab. But, Frankenstein's probably not going to be very happy about it. It's probably easier to find a train than a brain, but I don't know about bringing it all the way back. He probably should have clarified. I don't know. The next one's a bunch of birds, and they're about to sit down to a family dinner. Like, they're at a dining room table, and there's a mom, a dad, and two children of indeterminate age. And the mom is saying, and there's a big plate of bugs, like assorted bugs for dinner, and the mom is saying, "Okay, everyone, dig in, and you kids watch out for stingers." So I guess some of the bugs have stingers. You gotta be careful. This is three kids going down a slide, not the same slide as the spider one, but they're going down a slide on a playground, and there's like a big break in the slide. There's just like a hole in it. And the kid, they're going in like a train. There's three of them, but they're all going at the same time, and they're like holding on to the person in front of them. So the kid in front is screaming, and it says, "At the head of the train, Russell was first to notice the slide was out." So it's like, instead of like the track was out in front of an actual train, it's a slide. So this one is three scientists in a room with like a glass viewing screen. And on the other side of the glass is a bunch of like, I guess they're just like dumb people, but they're all just staring at the scientists on the other side of the glass. And one of the scientists is saying to the other two, yes, they're all fools, gentlemen, but the question remains, what kind of fools are they? So I guess they're gonna like two of them have clipboards. I guess they're gonna study the people behind the glass to determine what kind of fools they are. Like the song, I guess. Isn't that a song? What kind of fool am I? I don't know. I think that's what's going on. I think it's a reference to that. I could be wrong. This one's another caveman one. So it's two cavemen. There's a mammoth. They've built a giant rock microscope and placed the mammoth under it. And one of the cavemen is on top of the microscope and it's saying it's a mammoth, and it says early microscope. So I guess like I like the joke is just like they should be able to tell that it's a mammoth without the microscope, but they've still built one. So I don't know, the mammoth's tusks were very clearly drawn after the microscope. This one is a guy putting a fish into a tank that's labeled kissing fish, but the fish he's putting in is really ugly, and the other fish inside looks afraid because I guess it probably doesn't want to kiss the really ugly fish. The next one's another injured old man animal telling its story. It's an old man worm that's been like cut in half, and it's telling its story to three younger worms. And it's saying, so there we were, locked into this life and death tug of war. Your grandma had one end of me, the bird had the other, but everyone went away satisfied. So I guess like the grandma worm had the head, and the bird had his tail, and he ripped in half, but like I guess since she had his head, he's okay. He's just half a worm, but they didn't care because he's still alive. This one's a fishbowl in the desert, and there's a guy there that has apparently clawed his way very close to the fishbowl and then died. Like he was gonna drink out of the fishbowl because he was dying of thirst in the desert, but he just couldn't make it, and he died before he could reach it. And the two fish in the fishbowl, one of them saying, my word, that one came just too close for comfort, if you ask me. So they're glad that he didn't drink their water, but a little unnerved. Because I guess this happens often, but they usually don't get that close. Oh god, this is a long time to go. This one is, it's cavemen again. It's a caveman, it's a cave boy returning to his cave parents, but he's got a report card and he's failed everything. He's failed calculus, physics, biology, chemistry, and civics, which I guess are all taken in the caveman times. And, it says Grog hesitated, not wanting to face his parents. I think Grog is an artist, and unfortunately, his caveman curriculum is STEM focused, and because he doesn't have like English, history, art, music. He doesn't have any of that. The only like liberal arts thing he's got on there is civics. The rest are all math and science. So I think that's the problem. I think Grog just needs to be enrolled in more of an artistic program. And maybe his parents are aware of that, but he doesn't want to admit to them that he failed 5 classes. So, I understand. But I'm just saying, in the future, I think that's what Grog's problem is. The next one is split panel. The first one is Tarzan of the Jungle. The second one is Nanook of the North. And the third one is Warren of the Wasteland. So, it's 3 humans that are famous for being, completely adapted to their environment. And the first one is Tarzan, and he's swinging through the vines. And the second one is Nanook, which was not his real name. But Nanook is an Inuit, and he's paddling a kayak. And then the third one is Warren, and he's just running through the wasteland. This one is Dr. Frankenstein, and I guess his monsters escaped, but it doesn't have a head, and he's got a dog on a leash, and I'm pretty sure they're looking for the head, and he's saying, "Blast, this cinches it." And if we ever find it again, I'm gonna bolt the sucker on. So I guess this is I guess Frankenstein's monster escaped a few times during the building process and frequently lost its head. I don't know if the head is escapes on its own, but the body definitely escaped, and then after escaping lost its head somewhere in this field. So he's gonna use this dog to hopefully find it. And if he does find it, he's gonna bolt it on. So I guess that's how the monster got the bolts in its neck, was because the head kept escaping. This one is 5 dogs playing. They're pretending to be wolves and coyotes. I guess it's a dog game. And they're about to chase a paper boy. They're hiding as he approaches, and it says, "Okay, this time Rex and Zeke will be the wolves. Fifi and Muffin will be the coyotes. And listen, here comes the deer." So I guess the paper boy is the deer. They're gonna pretend to hunt him. Or actually hunt him. The next one is an Oh Susanna reference. It's like a cowboy visiting a doctor in the Old West, and he has a banjo shaped growth coming out of his knee, and he's saying, "I've had it, doc. I've come all the way from Alabama with this danged thing on my knee." This one's an old man and his female companion in a museum, and he's using a Ming vase as a spittoon. And that's it. The next one is The Last of the Mohicans. But it's the actual last one. So there's a bunch of teepees, but there's only one native, and he's saying, "Little Beaver, Red Eagle, where is everyone? Okay, joke's over." So I guess they're all gone. And he's the last of them. This one is the 3rd Psycho movie. So I guess in The Far Side they made 2 sequels to Psycho. And this one is Psycho 3, and it's a woman taking a shower, and a tank is just I don't know the right word, but a tank is just coming through the wall at her into the shower. So I guess Psycho, the shower attack scene just keeps getting more and more ridiculously dangerous with each movie. This one's a man hiding behind the door after letting his cat in from outside, but he's wearing a dog mask and it says games you play with your cat. So I guess he's gonna scare the cat. This one is this one's an elephant sitting in front of a piano in front of a crowded auditorium full of people. Like, the elephant, I guess, is supposed to play the piano, but it's like a bad dream. The elephant is having a nightmare because the caption is the elephant's nightmare, and the elephant is saying, "What am I doing here? I can't play this thing. I'm a flautist, for crying out loud." So I guess the elephant has nightmares that it has to play a piano in front of a bunch of people, but it doesn't know how. Because it's a woodwind player. And maybe there's like an ivory keyboard secondary joke. I don't know. This one is two prison guards escorting a clown to the electric chair, and one of them is saying, "I don't think I'll be able to tell the kids about this one." So I guess normally he tells his kids about each execution, but his kids like clowns, so he's not going to be able to tell them about this one. The next one's it's a bunch of cowboys, but two of them are like smaller than the other ones. They're not like ridiculously small, they're just like relatively smaller than the other cowboys, and one of them is trying to pick a fight with the other one and is saying, "Hey you, yeah, that's right, I'm talking to you." So I guess he's picking on someone his own size, but there's only one person that fits that demographic because he is small. This one's a cheetah about to hunt some antelope, but it's putting on some running sneakers first. Or cleats or something, I don't know. The next one is a man and I guess his son at like Christmas time in front of a store window with like wreaths and lights around it, and it's snowing. And there's a bike inside with a big bow on it. So I guess like this kid wants a new bike for Christmas. And his dad is saying, "Okay, Jimmy, you can have that new bike if you can just answer one question. What's the average rainfall in the Amazon basin?" And then the second panel, the kid just like is silent. And then the third panel, the dad says, "Time's up." And then in the fourth panel, they walk away. So he can't get the bike because he didn't answer the question in time. So I guess it won't be a happy Christmas for Jimmy. The next one is, I believe, in direct response to the one from earlier with Ginger the dog, when it was like what we say to dogs and what they hear. But this one is the cat version, and it's basically, it's almost exactly the same, except with a cat. And, like, not exact, it's not the same joke, but it's very similar. It's just a cat instead, and a woman instead of a man. And she's saying to the cat, "Well, Fluffy, you've clawed the furniture for the last time. I'll not tolerate that behavior any longer." And then in the second panel, like, the speech bubble is just blank. So the joke in this one is, unlike dogs, cats just do not, they either don't comprehend what we're saying at all, or they just do not care in the slightest. So they either just don't understand, or they just choose to hear nothing. So, like, I'm not saying this is like copying the other one. It's just, it is definitely very much a continuation of that. I hope there's more. I hope there's like a bird one or something. But I don't think so. This one is, it's a bunch of people at a table, and I guess they have a pet squid, because they're eating dinner and the kid is giving something to the squid the squid's underneath the table, and the dad is saying, "Hold it right there, young man. Are you feeding the squid under the table again?" The next one is a three little, no, I mean, it's a Goldilocks reference. And this guy has the three bears mounted on his wall. He has Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and the baby one. And he's showing them to the man who he's like his guest. And he's saying the first two gave me trouble, but not that little bear. I bagged him just right. That's dark. But I've never liked the three bears. I've always been a little afraid of them, so I don't really care. The next one's Santa coming down the chimney, and there's a Doberman just waiting for him. I guess it's gonna attack him. But like, I'm sure Santa has a protocol for large dogs, so I bet it's gonna be okay. The Doberman also doesn't look angry or anything. Maybe it's just excited. Maybe it's just there to greet Santa. I think assuming that the Doberman is gonna attack Santa would be a little unfair in this comic. That's definitely what's implied, but I don't think it tells the whole story. This one's a guy just eating arrows in the jungle, like that you shoot from a bow. And whoever he's with, his like friend or his partner, is saying, "Oh my gosh, Andrew, don't eat those. Those are poison arrows." So I guess like normal arrows would be okay, but these are poisonous. The next one is perhaps Gary, like poking. It's really just like Gary intimidating Jim Davis, I think, because what it is it's Garfield's bowl. We see that the bowl is labeled Garfield, but there's a giant snake that looks angry, but it's smiling, and like it's got a giant lump in it. So it's implying that this snake ate Garfield the cat. Yeah. And I'm sure both of them were in syndication at the same time. So really just Gary just giving a big middle finger to Jim Davis, which I appreciate that. This one is a bug, I guess, dying. It's a woman is spraying insect away in her apartment or her house or whatever, and apparently there was a giant bug in her closet, but it's falling out of the closet and taking like all the clothes with it as it falls. But I think it's dead now because of the insect away. But there was a giant bug in her closet. So whatever her suspicions were when she bought this insect away, maybe she knew about it, and it was confirmed. This one is two taxis. One is chasing the other taxi through the woods, because in the first taxi, the one that's being chased is a sheep, and in the other one there's a wolf. So I guess maybe this wolf was hunting a sheep, and the sheep hailed a taxi and was like, "Get me out of the woods," and then away from the wolf. And then the wolf got another taxi and was like, "Follow that taxi." So I don't know how this is gonna end. This one's a guy in a jungle, and he's standing on top of a dryer. There's a bunch of other appliances there in the middle of the jungle, but he appears to be stealing a toaster, but behind him are two tribes people. I guess they protect these appliances, and two jungle people with spears, and it says Murray is caught desecrating the secret appliance burial grounds. Um, this is the last page. This one is two people in a car. We can only see through the windshield, like that's where our perspective is, and they're screaming. We don't know what they're screaming at, but there's a sign with an elephant on it that says Xing, so I think it's like elephant crossing, and I think they're about to crash into it. Well, it's implied that they're about to crash into an elephant, and that's why they're screaming, but we don't see the elephant. They could be screaming at us. They could be screaming at the viewer. A lot of places that comic could go. If you take away the sign, I think that comic is honestly funnier. Because, like, they definitely would have seen the elephant coming when it was going to cross the street. This one's sad. This is another snake death one. It's like, it's a snake coming into a room to find that its snake friend or partner or whatever has hung itself, but the way that it hung itself was like it tied itself into a noose and I guess strangled itself that way. The other snake is saying, "Oh no, Elliot, why? So this snake has just found its friend who has just committed suicide and is reasonably upset. The next one is it's three lions. One of them's got the lion tamer's head in its mouth. And the other two lions are going, "Ernie's a chicken, Ernie's a chicken." So I guess like Ernie doesn't have the balls to like eat the lion tamer's head. And the other ones really want him to, so they're mocking him. The next one's two scientists, a man and a woman, and the male scientist is riding a T-Rex skeleton, or like I think it's an Allosaur skeleton, and the woman is like measuring a bone, I think, and he's waving to her and he's saying, "Hi, Miss Collins." So I guess he just like wants her to turn around and look at what he's doing. I think that's all it is. The next one is the next one is like four guys working on the railroad, and one of them's really skinny, but like the really big burly ones look tired, but the really skinny one is just loving his time on working on the railroad. He's singing, he's singing one more time, "Hey, I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. Hey, I've been..." And so I guess he's just been singing and working all day, and they don't like him because he's too into it, but he's also skinny. The next one's in the jungle again. It's like a guy, I believe he's hunting for something. I think it's elephants, but he hasn't noticed that above him is like a big glass tube that the elephants are walking through, and the caption says "Elephant Skyways." So I guess for whatever reason, these elephants in the jungle travel by suspended glass skyways, perhaps to avoid predators or hunters. They have taken to more experimental forms of architecture. But yeah, that's what's going on. This one's these four aliens have just landed on Earth, and they've already drawn a crowd, but one of them like fell down the stairs leading up to their spaceship, and the other ones look mad and embarrassed. And one of them is saying, "Wonderful, just wonderful. So much for instilling them with a sense of awe." So I guess like they wanted to be like an awe-inspiring presence for these humans, but one of them fell down the stairs, so now like they're embarrassed, which I understand. This is the last one for today. It's a praying mantis family eating dinner. It's a mom and two children mantises. I guess the dad's been eaten by the mom. But But the kids are eating, and one of them is saying, "Mom, Edgar's making that clicking sound again." So I guess Edgar makes annoying clicking sounds because he's a praying mantis. Alright, that's it. I'm gonna go. Oh, I remember that. Alright, I'm gonna go. See ya.